before we do that, you do see a globe at the bottom right-hand screen. If you would please select your language, your preference of language, either English or Spanish. And whichever language you prefer, you do need to select that. And buenas tardes, bienvenidos a todos. Esta reunión está siendo interpretada al español. Para aquellos que no han usado este servicio anteriormente, por favor pulsen el globito en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla y seleccione el idioma de su preferencia. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Let's do a quick run around the table and on the screen and just introduce ourselves and our representing. Jenna, can we start with you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenna Garcia. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing.
I am Lori Larita, and I am Community Events Outreach Manager.
I'm Anthony Aragon with the National Western Center, Director of Community Engagement.
Hi, I'm Steve King. I'm with Perkins and Will, so we're the architects for the Equestrian Center project.
Steve Nally, Real Estate at the National Western Center Authority.
Jared Hoplich, Development Manager, also with the authority.
Slavica Clark with CRL Associates and also consulting on National Western Stock Shop.
Catherine Archuleta, your facilitator.
Mayra Vina with Focus Points Family Resource Center.
Melvin Guevara, community member.
Isabel Royal, community member as well.
Maria Arcana.
And we'll start up with you, Jesselyn.
Good evening, Jesselyn Charzai with Prodigy Coffee.
Mike.
Mike Bouchard, Mayor's Office of the National Western Center.
Rick.
Rick Rivera with Partner Colorado Credit Union, Community Relations Manager.
Sandra.
We just lost Sandra.
We just lost her.
Yeah.
Ricardo. Ricardo, you're on mute.
Ricardo Robledo, community member.
Thank you. Christina.
I am Christina Garcia with Birdsea Collective as well as with the Global Rec Center.
Thank you. Noah.
Hello, everyone. Noah Kaplan with Compost Colorado, doing waste diversion in the GS community and around the National Western Center.
Anne.
Hi, everyone. This is Ann Hayes with Westfield Company. We're a developer in Elyria, Swansea.
Rebecca.
Rebecca Trujillo with Global First.
Angela.
Angela Garcia, Global resident and member of the Community Investment Fund.
Shannon.
Hi, everyone. Shannon Hoffman, Project Manager for the GES Community Investment Fund.
Alejandra. You're on mute, Alejandra. Amber, let's go to you. Amber.
Yep, my name is Amber and I live in Swansea.
You. And Sandra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Sandra from Global.
Thank you, Sandra. And we'd like to go over the agenda. Maybe Jenna, if you could pull that up. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Wait a minute. Well. So, first of all, we're going to spend some time and introduce all of you, if you haven't already met her, our new community events and outreach manager. Then we're going to move to community updates. We're going to change. Oh, it's in the right order. And we're going to go to Mike, your report on the NUCO update. Then we'll do Anthony and Steve on the National Western Center update and move to the Equestrian Center on a hotel update from Steve and then public comment. Just to remind you that we have a set of roles and responsibilities as well as agreements. And we, at all the meeting, for those of you who have not been with us together, as we really do work together in an atmosphere of respect and trust, openness and transparency, and really encourage one another to share and to talk about the realities that we face each day, even as we work towards collaboration and partnership. I also will remind you that we work by consensus and that in the decision-making, consensus does not mean just 100% everybody has to agree. We try to reach and consider everybody's views. So as we move along in this agenda, I'm really excited to introduce Brad Buchanan. Brad Buchanan, as many of you know, is the CEO of the National Western Center Authority, and he has a special responsibility tonight.
Catherine. So, two big things happening this evening at this meeting. One, out with the old, in with the new. Wow. Our dear friend Anthony, tonight is Anthony's last CAC meeting. Just again, I acknowledge Anthony's work at the National Western Center. He has been tireless in trying to pull a lot of things together over the last few years, and I've learned a lot from him. So thank you very much, Anthony. You can bring it out. And to introduce Lori Larita. Lori comes to us after doing a lot of really good work with the Denver Housing Authority. And I do not remember the exact number, but I think we got something over 160 applicants for this position. Very extensive process. And I think we shortlisted down to, we did 20 phone interviews and then started whittling down to a bunch of in-person interviews anyway. We are super excited to have Lori on the team. And Lori, why don't you introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lori Larita, and I do recently come from Denver Housing Authority. I was with Denver Housing Authority for 21 years. I was very community driven, and my focus was in the La Alma neighborhoods. And it was really just trying to build relationships and finding what the community was needing, wanting, and just really creating that partnership with Denver Housing and our residents and our neighbors as well. So that's my focus moving forward, and I'm really excited to be working here. I'm so excited, but I'm here, I'm open, I'm always available to talk and have some new ideas. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Welcome, Lori. We're really excited you're here, and obviously you have a big boots to fill with
yes,
Anthony leaving, but we know you're absolutely up to the task. So okay, we'll move on and with community updates, and it's an open forum. Anybody who has any updates they'd like to share about goings on in the communities, just let me know. Zoom, you can raise your hand, or in the room. Any updates? Yes.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share Prodigy Ventures. We're a social enterprise that's offering apprenticeships to young people in the Globeville, Elyria, Swansea neighborhoods. And we're partnering with CSU Spur just starting last month for access to their commissary kitchen so that our apprentices can explore production around our house-made syrup project. And so we're looking to launch a project in the community here in the next few weeks where apprentices have been using the commissary kitchen to make the syrups, and now they're putting together a marketing plan to talk to the more than 890 coffee shops in the community around the metro area. So looking forward to continuing that work with CSU Spur.
Thank you, Jessalyn. Other updates from the community?
I think Global first, they have a talk, but I don't know if Rebecca wants to talk about it.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Rebecca.
Thank you, Sandra.
So we are hosting our first annual Toys for Kids. It's going to be this Saturday between 12 and 3, and we're going to have it at the Stella's in Glowville.
Thank you.
And there's gonna be another, toy drive this Sunday, December 22nd. And that's gonna be at, let's see, 45th and Sherman Street from noon to 3 p.m. And that's from Blood Brothers. They're a group of men that have been doing a lot in the Global area.
Where is it again?
That's on 45th and Sherman Street. And they do it every year. It's a lot of toys. They do a lot. Sorry.
What was the name of the organization?
It's a group,
Blood
they call
Brothers.
Blood Brothers.
Blood Brothers, thank you. Any other announcements from the community? Okay, Mike? Can you update us on NewCo?
Great, thank you. Just a couple quick updates from our side. We will have a newsletter going out on the construction coordination efforts that we are helping to coordinate within the city. Those include that the Lincoln Underpass project, the Lincoln Underpass is open. There are still a few things left to finalize, including lights and stop sign, I believe. I note that Heron Pond work will be getting started next year. And so that area will remain closed to allow the plantings to become established. And then the Washington Street work, some of that work will start, mostly enabling work like utilities in the January, February timeframe, with actual construction slated to start later in the summer of 2025. But all of that, as I said, will be going out in a newsletter, and we will, as always, coordinate with the authority to make sure that gets to as many folks as possible. And if you have other suggestions on distribution places to get that information out, we would love to hear them. And that's all I have.
Do you happen to have an ETA of when that stop sign will go in? I feel like that's a big priority, especially since a lot of kids are walking through right there as well as residents.
Let me find out. You would think that would be something that would not take that long to do.
Right, especially since it's a safety hazard.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll see what I can find out.
Thank you.
Mike, you saw that was from Christina at Birdseed?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, good. Any questions for Mike? Comments? All right. Let's move on to the committee.
We can start with Steve. I think he has exciting news to share. We can start with Steve.
Great. Hi, everyone. I've brought the district's sign plan to this group several times. Get some chuckles because it's a thrilling document. This is the document that sets the rules for signs on the campus, all types of signage. Went to planning board today, and planning board unanimously approved the sign plan. And so we will now.
So does that mean you're done presenting on it?
Yeah, so it won't be on the agenda anymore. Congratulations. So now we can start implementing, we have a new rule book. We have to go design signs, and we have a new, I guess, set of guidelines to work within. So I'm pretty excited about this. But
I personally like to congratulate you.
Yeah, me too.
Any questions about signage? All right, thank you. Thanks, Steve, and congratulations on that. Anthony?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Some exciting news to share. We were working with Creo Results earlier this week, and they were canvassing the community, putting up a flyer for free tickets to 5 rodeos during the 2025 stock show. And I have received great response in just a couple of days. A couple of the Mexican rodeo, which seems to be the most popular, all those tickets have been distributed, but we still have 3. We have 3 more events, 3 more rodeos that we will be providing up to 4 complimentary tickets to the stock show plus $20 food vouchers. And so I would say we're over halfway through the 250 tickets. They've been identified thus far in just 2 days. So again, just an amazing response from the community. I wish we were able to provide more. But again, 250 tickets again this year. We're excited that we're able to do that for the community. Additionally, I've spoken with the points of contact at Swansea Elementary and Garden Place Academy, and they are identifying the 10 children from each school who will be riding in the 2025 Stock Show Parade the morning 11 a.m. on Thursday, January the 9th. We actually were able to double the size of the wagon this year so that even more kids could participate. Working with Louis from the Swansea Rec Center, they're going to be providing the mini Parks and Rec buses to transport the kids from the 2 schools. And so we're really excited that that's happening again this year as well. And then Lori wants to share an event that all of you will be invited to.
So we will be hosting a reception for you and +1, and dinner will be provided, drinks will be provided, and our goal is to have it at the VIP room in the building. Which building
Hall of
was that?
Education.
Yeah, the Hall of Education, and we're really excited for you guys to participate. I will be sending out an email with the invitation and more details, but January 23rd, and it'll be dinner and a reception. All right, dinner and the rodeo, sorry.
Great.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Questions, comments? This is your last time with Anthony, so it's an opportunity to say no comments. Okay,
He doesn't like it when we talk about him.
no, really.
So we talk about him.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take a point of privilege as a facilitator to say that it's been my privilege to work with Anthony over the course of now almost 2 years. And I have to say that it's been a real pleasure to work with him. He's always ready and willing to do whatever he needs to do to work with community. And it's certainly made my job as a facilitator much easier. So I just want to thank you, Anthony, publicly for all that you do for community, and wish you the best of luck in whatever you choose to do in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, all right, so now we're gonna move on to the equestrian center and the hotel. And Steve Nally.
Great, thank you. So the agenda for today is we're gonna focus, I'm gonna have Steve King walk us through some of the latest thinking, the site plan, so you guys can see that, and then go into more detail in the community space. The team has made a couple of changes that we want you guys to see, and we want to talk about the interior of that space and the furniture and some of the offerings inside the space, such as audio, visual, things of that nature that we think we will need. So want your feedback on that. And then I will just kind of give you guys an overview of where we are in the project overall with the schedule, and kind of do what we've heard so far this year through all of our efforts and discussions, and the proposed kind of package of community benefits. Still more time to discuss those. I just wanted to highlight where we stand since we're in December and we're heading into a new year next month. So Steve, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So I'll give everybody sort of a brief overview of the project. So we've got the site plan up on the project. There really are no major changes to the building organization. Our time has been spent the past few months digging into details and fine tuning sort of all the aspects of the design. So really not too much to talk about here. I think you've all seen this before, so. We'll go down to the next page. This is, again, sort of a floating view from a helicopter, the equestrian center on the left, the hotel over on the right, and the community center beyond. And then we spin around to this view, again, from a helicopter, hotel on the left, the equestrian center on the right, and then you can see the community center and the greenhouse in the foreground there on National Western Drive, which is in the foreground there. We do have some updated exterior imagery to show. So this is an image of the equestrian center from the plaza, looking at the main entry, and the plaza's off to the right. The livestock building is behind us in the view, so this is the main entry into the equestrian center.
Steve, can we just check with everybody to make sure that you can see it okay? Is everyone in the Zoom seeing it? Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, Steve.
Let me see, I can maybe just expand my view here to presentation mode. That might make it a little bit bigger. I won't be able to point, but that's probably okay. Just a second to catch up. Is that better?
Yeah.
So this is the same main facade of the equestrian center that faces the plaza. This is just looking more from the north, standing kind of over by the entry to the armor building, looking back toward the main entry that's off in the far distance. This is that same view from the plaza, more of a nighttime shot. So you can see we're really trying to bring natural light into the building, and you can see the windows here at night, the light coming through those buildings out to the plaza. This sort of spins us around to the view from National Western Drive. So CSU Beta is just right to the right on this image, and this is looking at the exit that comes out of the event center and leads you to National Western Drive. The building here, as you can see a little better on the materiality here, we're looking at precast concrete on the base of the building, and then insulated metal panels up higher. These are moving on to the greenhouse element. So this is next door to the community building. These are sort of our inspiration images, look and feel of how that greenhouse is gonna come across. And then we'll go to the fun stuff for you guys. So this is the community building. We started off, we presented these last time, just sort of looking at houses in the neighborhood and how the roofs look, and that sort of influenced our design thinking as we started playing with the community building and how it would look. So these are some more look and feel diagrams that influenced our thinking. And these are some interesting images that we thought that brought color into the building, thinking about comments we got from the community. And we've introduced color in this fashion in between the greenhouse and the community building. All right, so this is the community building in the greenhouse, and isometric views up on the top of the page, and then floor plans down on the bottom of the page. And just to orient everybody, community building on the left, greenhouse on the right, and then we've got a connector plaza in between the two buildings. And we've got a better zoomed in view of the community building I'm going to go into here. So we're starting to think about interior design inside the community building. So this is the first time you guys have seen this diagram. The plan up on the top is a floor plan layout for the community building. And just to go through that with everybody to refresh our memory, we've got a large gathering room on the left. It has an open kind of a kitchen space in it. And then in the middle of the building, you'll see sort of three small rooms. Those are our restrooms. And then we've got a lobby that you come off the street on the right-hand side, and then that connects to an outdoor patio over on the right. The imagery you see on the bottom left-hand corner is sort of how we're starting to think about how the interior of the large gathering room might look. So we're thinking it might be really cool to have a large scale interior mural on that wall. That's kind of indicated by an orange line on the floor plan. And then there's just one idea in the image below of what that might look like. That might be a public art opportunity that we might think about inside the room. And then the middle of the page is some thoughts about how the restrooms might be. Taking a look at them, you know, wood look, ceramic floor, tile on the walls. And then on the far right is some ideas about how that patio space might look. That's an outdoor space that connects the two buildings. This might be a good place to pause and just see if there's any feedback about this.
Any comments or questions about the presentation so far? In the Zoom, if you want to raise your hand, if you have any comments or questions.
Is that cobblestone for the floor or for where?
What we're thinking about there is there's a lot of existing brick that was salvaged from older buildings on site. And we think it might be a good opportunity to reuse that brick on the floor. We're thinking about it.
Salvage from the yards.
From the yards, yeah. In the equestrian building, we've been thinking about using it in a decorative format on the face of some bar materials, you know, so we understand there's some challenges with using it on the floor, but that's kind of what we're thinking about.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna mention for people with mobility issues, that might be difficult for them to utilize.
Yeah, for that reason in particular, in the equestrian building, we're using it on the front of a bar, so it's more decorative and you see it, but you don't necessarily have to walk on it, so.
Yeah, we've used quite a bit of it out along the sidewalks throughout the campus. There's the sidewalk and then there's the amenity zone where the trees are planted. There's some of that brick that's down. It is challenging though. It's old brick. Every single brick's a different size, they're chipped. And it's tough to remove snow on those old bricks. And so operationally, it's challenging. And so I think we've learned a lot. And so, yeah, this appears to be on the ground, but I think what you're suggesting is that it is potentially the lower part of the bar. You know, if this is the bar, it would be that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good use of it without it impacting it.
I've got some updated exterior imagery too to show you, but it might be good to pause here a bit and talk about the interior.
Yeah.
I think we have a question from Chad as well. Go ahead, Chad.
Okay, hi, everybody. You can hear me all right, I know.
Yes.
Question is, any bicycle stables or scooter corrals there at the community building, and also that same kind of infrastructure, storage or lock-in devices on the campus as a whole?
This particular example.
Yeah, I would say that we haven't gotten into that level of detail, but we do envision bike parking here for this project as well as the campus as a whole. But you want to talk about the campus?
Yeah, I mean, the buildings are going after LEED certification, which is a green certification that includes transportation facilities. We have, I don't want to say that over 1,000, but it seems like that. If you look at a map of bike parking spaces where the livestock center and the equestrian center, since they're very large buildings, the requirement is triggered by the square footage. So we have a lot of bike parking on the campus.
Yeah.
But you make a really good comment about making it really accessible and bike parking right outside of this, right outside the entrance of this. That's a great comment. I'm not sure that we had a bunch of parking right here at the community space.
Well, let me suggest this is would even be the greater preference would be a secure storage for bicycles, because you know absolutely the city of Denver is encouraging us to ride and scoot all over the city, so we need to protect our equipment. And will there be any secure infrastructure for bicycles and scooters?
Yeah, there will be. I'll tell you this, as part of the LEED process, Steve mentioned we have to provide a certain quantity of bicycle storage. I think between the livestock building and the equestrian, there's somewhere around 500 of them. And then a certain percentage of those have to be secure storage containers that are out of the weather, so. we will have.
Yeah, it's a code requirement as well through zoning to, a portion of parking has to be enclosed. But not just the bike rack.
So that's good. That's good. Kudos. And will that be, those be available upon opening of these different facilities and buildings?
So since it's inside the building, it would be event specific. So if we have an event at the equestrian facility or Stockyards Event Center or Livestock Center, we'd have to unlock the building. So the building has to be open for that enclosed parking to be available. But that's the intent. Yeah, if the buildings are closed, then we're not sure why you'd be riding your bike to a closed building. But you could ride it to the campus and have that bike rack to a nearby restaurant.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're talking about local individuals, most likely. Visitors.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks for taking that question.
Thanks, Chad.
I just wanted to spend a little time on this idea of a mural inside. So that it's kind of hard to see up on the map, but that large gathering space, the wall is highlighted of where that mural could go. And we talked a lot about introducing color. And I think you're showing an example of a mural. It's not, you're not.
Yeah.
That's the mural.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, what do folks think about that idea of opening that up as a canvas to introduce art?
I think that would be a great idea, especially if the artist is local too.
Yep.
Do a call for art, and will it be a paid project, like, you know how there's the city of Denver always looking for artists and stuff like that, yeah?
Yeah, the 1% requirement applies to this project, the whole project. And so the arts and venues, that's a process to select artists. This could be one of those locations, as there is a process to go through and select the artist. However, that is open to the world. That artist selection process is open to the world. We can help write the RFP and that they go through to procure the artists. Or we could suggest that this is not part of that program and we set some money aside and we go through our own local process. So that's something we can.
What was the process that they used on the bridge? Was that?
The arts and venues process.
That's the arts and venues.
Steve, Amber loves the idea of a mural, and when you were speaking about the idea of a mural, Christina from Birdseed clapped. So she liked that.
Birdseed
idea.
has some amazing art inside.
They do, yeah, and because it's indoors, how big is that wall, you know?
Well, you're putting me on the spot with dimensions. I'm gonna say it's around, I don't know, 45 feet long and about 15 feet tall, so it's pretty substantial. It's a large wall. Yeah.
The entire community space, not counting the patios, is 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the idea of having your own process for local artists, because that's something that we've been asking for a long time. To get people from our neighborhood, even our kids or young people to do those murals.
Yeah, that's great. We have a couple of opportunities on the outside too, that we'll show you in a second.
He's also showing tile. We got tile really on every segment here. Any input on that? The color you're seeing is, we're heading in the right direction here.
Or are you guys gonna do tile inside the bathrooms to kind of color match to the mural, the theme of the mural?
So yeah, style in the bathroom. That's what that center, the center images are. It's kind of that orange tile. We don't know what the mural is going to be, so we won't know what the mural will be when we install the tile. I would assume that we would build it first and then we would open up the building and then have a painting, have the community paint the mural, so.
Oh, okay, because since I seen the top one in the corner, I thought that was also like a style tile you guys could have used.
That's on the outside. We'll show you a picture of that in a second on the outside.
So yeah, just to highlight the images, the bottom left images, that's for the large gathering space inside. The middle would be the restrooms. and then the right would be the exterior patios. We're trying to select some somewhat neutral earth tone colors that would go with really any colors that are introduced later. Some of our influence.
Angela, did you still have your hand up? Could it be written in the RFP that the artists collaborate with community to do painting?
This way, you know, you're able to, the community, which the GES community as a whole, which normally does not feel welcome at the National Western, can actually have a piece in there to say, yes, we helped make this. We helped paint this.
That is a requirement we can put into the development agreement.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Any other comments or questions so far? Okay, Steve, back to you.
Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the interior of the large gathering room space and what will be in there. So our thoughts right now is it's gonna come complete with, you know, speakers and sound and a way to project images. So if you have community meetings, kind of like the one we're having tonight, it'll have built-in capability, you know, for sound and to be able to present videos and have meetings like this one in there, frankly. So that's all in the project right now. The kitchen you see in the lower right corner of the big room.
So did you say there'll be a PA system there as well? So, okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So, it is sized so that you can get on a microphone and speak to a crowd, play music over it. It is not like big concert music, which I think you would blow the building out if you had that anyways. But it will be sized for that kind of level of, you can have a party in there and blast music.
Yeah.
You know, think of like what's a good example of a place that has,
Or something.
like, think of like maybe a bar has a good sound system, something similar to that. As opposed to one little speaker in the corner of a microphone.
Yeah, no, it'll be very nice. Any questions about that?
Not particularly.
Jessalyn?
Yeah, I've used community spaces that have like a right size sound system. Sometimes that's really complicated though. So is this going to be easy for community members to come in and plug into this if they're using it to activate on their own behalf?
So that's a great comment. I think
Yes.
we want it to be a good sound system. And you're right, those tend to not be very intuitive. I think we would provide support for early setup. If the community wants to use it, they need help using it, we could write out guides. But you're right, they can be complicated.
That's our goal, to provide those for the project as a whole, that they're easy to use, because that's a common complaint.
Do you have another comment as well?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, since it's also gonna be used as like a party venue, or it's like somewhere to gather. Are there gonna be foldable chairs and tables, or would the community have to like bring in their own?
No, we intend to have a kind of a full suite of furniture, and we need your input on what type of furniture. We were anticipating tables and chairs, collapsible tables, so where you could have a seated dinner in that space or roll them into the storage area. Foldable chairs. The audio system we just talked about, we need to talk about the visual system, if we need a screen for presentations. But that's the conversation we want to have with you. So great comment. As far as if we want to pivot, well, let's say on furniture. Are we just talking tables and chairs here and bar stools? Are there?
Like, cause I know like for a lot of like Mexican gatherings, I was like, it's always just a long like 6 by 2 or 6 by 3 foldable tables and chairs around it.
So not round tables?
Round as well.
Okay.
I was like, I've seen that they also use round tables, either one.
It would be cool. It is a very long linear space. You have one long table.
got the color slides, just
Right,
kind of like the greenhouse image over on the right, top right corner has those more rectangular type tables, so.
Okay, so
Will you also be,
rectangular and round.
will you also be building like where they'll be stored within the community room?
Yes, we set aside a small space for storage.
Yeah, it's labeled flex room on here, that room on the right bottom corner.
We want to make sure that door's big enough, to get stuff in and out of.
And then you had mentioned for the projector, or in order to project, where would that be placed at? Would that cover the mural, like during the presentation or anything?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think we gotta think about that a little bit. Right now, naturally, I kind of want to say the left wall, but that's a glass wall, so that might not be the best, but we'll have to think about that a bit.
Well, we also want the space to be flexible. If we fix a screen on the wall, it might not work for all setups. We could also do a situation like this, where you can just move it around.
Oh, they have a lot of retractable ones.
Like a pull down screen with
It just automatically goes,
Yeah.
goes away, but pull it out, I mean, we would have to train somebody to use it, but.
yeah, these are stand up screens.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of spots that could house something like that, so on either side of the door.
So something like this, is that suggesting this would be better than actually forcing people to use a screen that might be in the wrong spot?
Yeah, I was like, it would be, if it's movable, or like how she said, like a retractable one, that even if it covers the mural for a presentation. I'm pretty sure if they're focusing on presentation, they don't wanna look at the mural that much, and then when they're finished, they can just roll it back up, and that way you could either be able to see the mural again afterwards.
Makes a nice backdrop for the visuals anyway. Can they be ceiling, come from the ceiling? Yeah.
Yeah, you can do recessed projection screens that come down from the ceiling, so. But that's gotta be, we gotta think about that spot where that goes, and
Get power to it.
yeah.
I'm also thinking about if you're in the middle, you can see it, but if you're at the far end. So how many screens do you actually need? It's sort of like the hotel approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll have to study that a little
Yeah.
bit, so.
Kitchen equipment?
Kitchen equipment, yeah, so we're envisioning the kitchen you see in the lower right, sorry, it's a little small, but we're thinking of it kind of like a kitchen in a house, so there's an island bar where you could have seating at the bar. And residential style appliances on the back wall, refrigerator, sink, microwaves, coffee maker. Gotta talk about a stove or an oven, I don't know that we're considering that right now, but certainly capable of doing that if we wanted to do that. So it's kind of sized similar to a large residential kitchen, so.
Cool.
Any thoughts, requests about that? So
It will be nice to see how big it's gonna be. The construction, like, I don't know, I feel like talking about putting a lot of stuff in there without knowing if it's gonna fit or if it's gonna look good. And which part's gonna look good for different events or gatherings. It's just that I'm not quite sure how everything's gonna look.
I think these guys can, with this feedback tonight, I think these guys can put renderings together for when we're standing in the space and look around and they can do different, maybe they do a seated dinner versus a dance floor party or something like that. Just to show how it would function. But the idea is we design it in a way that's very flexible for and usable for all types of events.
Can there be like a 3D design, like a more digital design from inside, which everything is put in there?
yeah,
Like a model, that we can see
absolutely
more
yeah.
clearly than just that. Just so we can really think about what we want in there.
Yeah, we can do that. We can populate it with different arrangements of furniture and produce some 3D images as well as plans, so absolutely. Sure. Okay, let me show you, we've got 4 or 5 images of the exterior of the building. I'll go through those. So this is a view from National Western. And it shows the fenced exterior patio in the foreground. And then you can see one of the places inside on the wall where we're thinking that it could be a mural, public art. There's a lot of opportunity for what that wants to be, similar to the interior mural. But this is the main entry into the space here, where the glass is on the foreground of the image. That's where you go into the building there. And then this view just walks down the street a little bit, gives you a little more view of the entire length of the building. You can see we have 2 of those insets for the mural opportunities. So also, we don't have them open here, but we've got the 2 garage doors that can open up and open the space to the outside, so it can bring the outside in and vice versa. And that plaza that you see on the right is a hard surface, which could, parties could spill out into the outside there and take advantage of that. Yeah, the color, the exterior of the building, we got some feedback that it was a little cold last time, so we warmed it up and made it more of a brown color. So hopefully it looks good to everybody. It's not as gray as it was last time.
Chad has his hand up.
Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, I hope I didn't miss the earlier. What is the permitting process gonna be, or the how do you hold this community space when you have a group or an individual that wants to use it? Or are you guys just talking about design right now?
Yeah, we have talked about operation of the space quite a bit during this process. We are just talking about design now, but happy to discuss that a little bit. We do have more time, and this will not be delivered until the very end of 27 and 28. So we have time to figure out exactly how how it's operated and how the community books the space, how we get keys and access and all of that. As far as permits go, I think it would depend on the event and the size of the event. If you have a lot of people that are showing up, then we may need to get the fire department aware of that event. If it's just a typical event that's small gathering, it's a different process. Also, the liquor licensing process is something that we would have to figure out as well, and we can work with our concessionaire to help with that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, a lot to discuss there, Chad, and we certainly have more time to do that.
Very good.
Jesslyn asked in the chat, is this campus hoping to be an entertainment district?
Yes. Going back to the master plan and what this place is in the future is certainly the core and the main campus plaza and all of that is probably the most intense entertainment district feel across the whole campus, but it certainly transitions down to the edges and especially at the riverfront. So as far as intensity goes, right, they're talking about a liquor. Are you talking about a liquor license?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad.
It does feel entertainment focused, but I meant more about the liquor license.
So when some of the legislation was done, the National Western Center, Slum, so you worked on this.
Yes.
the National Western Center was mapped as a potential location for that. We have not done anything with that yet, and it's quite a process. But once we start to get, I would think in the next year or two, we will start to look at that possibility.
Yeah, sorry to take us off track there with my response. I'm in district land plan land. Back to the color. Are folks liking the warming it up a little bit with brown? Do you have the old version by chance?
I don't have it queued up, but I think it might be more similar to what we were showing on the equestrian center beyond on the right, on the
More of
left.
just a gray.
More of a gray, yeah, yeah. So you can see the building off, on the left side of the building that's kind of poking its head out on the left side, that's the equestrian center, which is more of a gray. And this building was that gray color, and we changed it to more of a warm brown color, so. You get a lot of variations in screens too. I noticed it looks a little bit darker up on this screen than it does on mine, but.
There's another comment from Alejandro. So maybe this was already discussed, but how are you encouraging visitors to arrive by means other than a personal car in order to reduce traffic crashes, car emissions, and other negative impacts from increased traffic in the community? Any collaboration with RTD, also any opportunities for workforce housing on the site?
Yeah. Real quick, hopefully I'll make people dizzy.
Okay, so go back to the site plan. That community space is number 13 on this plan, which is at the very top of the plan along National Western Drive. The layout and the intent of this overall project is to create passageways for pedestrians and cyclists to get easily from Globeville over 51st Avenue, which is identified as number 6 on the map here, which is up to the top right, 51st Avenue over the river, directly into this promenade or a path that takes you right to the RTD station. We try to create the straightest line between Elyria and Globeville past the RTD station to encourage people to take the train and to walk from the train to this project and to the larger campus. The community space in particular is right in between 51st Avenue and future Betty Cram Bridge, which is just off the map to the left, which will go over the river as well, over to Washington. We have limited parking actually on the campus for the amounts of events that we have, but all of these moves are in design thinking are around making this pedestrian friendly and bikeable to encourage other modes, physically encourage other modes. As far as employees go, there's a lot of discussion around transit passes. When the pedestrian bridge over the rail is built, which intended to start that construction, I believe, in 26. That opens up that connectivity from the rail platform, because the platform itself is on the other side of the rail. It's on the east side along the Brighton corridor. So it is top of mind for us. Certainly something we think about all the time. As far as workforce housing on the site goes, we are not currently anticipating any housing on this site. We have the potential in the future to consider some pad sites. So if you go back to the site plan, we have not made any. I mean, these are future pads. So there's some ground out here that could be developed in the future. Where housing could potentially happen. We are also balancing this entertainment district comment, where right in the core of this main campus plaza and the epicenter of activity if we were to do housing, we would want to put it closer to the river and closer to the edge, so there's that separation of activity. But currently not anticipated in the project.
Chad, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, just one more on that pedestrian bridge. Is that literally just foot accessible?
So I guess you could, I believe it will have elevators, that's the plan. You can certainly roll your bicycle onto the elevator. And then the reason for that, for elevators, is because of the height. On the east side, where the ped bridge is about 5 stories up in the air, and so to try to create a ramp down would be kind of like a roller coaster.
It'd be too much like the Rainbow Bridge.
It'd be a lot higher than 47th and York, if that's what you're talking about.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's only 2 stories, 2.5 stories up. This would be 5 stories up.
So would it be like the one over on,
38th and Blake?
yeah,
Yep, elevators.
yeah, that one's, oh,
That one is tall. This may,
I'm afraid of heights.
this one may be taller. There's a big grade, if you're up on Brighton and you're looking west, the site really falls off.
Yeah.
And so we'd have to go straight over the tracks and then way down.
Okay, then, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if Mike is still on, Mike Bouchard. Mike, if you could just help me with some of my dates on the ped bridge, if those are known. I know you don't even have a contractor yet, so there's still a lot to figure out, but anticipated.
Right. Yeah, no, gladly. We are finalizing design. We just completed 60% design about 2 months ago. So headed towards final design. We will go out to bid with the pedestrian bridge. I'd say Q2 next year. Award that contract and hope to start construction in 2025. That's our goal currently.
I said 26, apologies.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chad. Steve, back to you.
Oh. We got 2 Steves over there.
Steve King.
I'll go back to the images here. Let me just take you down the rest of the images we've got. So this is another image that starts to show the outdoor patio space with the tile on the wall that's in between the greenhouse and the community building. And then this image here takes you into that patio space. So in this image, you're standing in that outdoor patio space with the tile wall over on the concrete wall that there's a level change between this building and the loading dock that's up above on the left. So that we're suggesting a tile wall on that retaining wall. And then you're looking at the greenhouse in the distance there, and we've got some furniture shown to give you a sense of scale. This kind of addresses Sandra. I think you're looking for this sort of imagery of the interior of the community room. So hopefully this makes you feel a little more comfortable with how big that outdoor patio space is, and we'll do some images like this of the interior space.
And that's just so beautiful. And I was thinking, Sandra, you brought up kids and the art. Like if they did something on the tiles, like you could do that, then incorporate those tiles with the art pieces from the community. That would be gorgeous.
And I think we've got one more image here. This one's sort of inside the greenhouse. The greenhouse is has 2 rooms in it, one big sort of a grow room and then a smaller room. And the idea here is the smaller room could be used for different activities, planting, events, teaching, all sorts of things. So in this image, the door you're looking at where the guy's about to walk through, that goes back to the patio, and you can kind of see the community room ghosted through the greenhouse wall at the end.
Jenna or Lori, can you read the comment from Amber?
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
the outdoors.
want me to speak it?
Sure, great, that'd be great, Amber.
So with the greenhouse, the outdoor patio space, it looks like that's open to the general public, which is fine. But when we have events, is there a way to kind of keep that space, personalized for the people that we're having a community event with?
Yeah, we certainly need to go and have a lot of discussions around how the space is booked. Some of the discussion has been that we would host the technology for the calendar and we would keep the keys. But the community has the opportunity to book it. And there's you could pull up the calendar and see when it's available and sign up to book it, and then the authority would ensure that we have security on campus and we can kind of enforce that booking. So if we have people that are there that are that do not have this space booked, we could tell them you must book it in order to use it. That whole enforcement and how it's operated, there's a lot more to discuss there.
Okay,
Not
and
sure if that
I don't have a problem with it being open to the public, because obviously that outdoor space, if there's no event, that's a beautiful space for people to enjoy. I just, was curious as to when we are having an event, we would
Right.
probably have that space for ourselves.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, and I think that we're thinking of these spaces and riverfront open space and the main campus plazas as open and available to enjoy as community and campus amenities.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
One of the things we've talked about, because the same situation exists along the riverfront. Because people can also reserve spaces along the riverfront if they want to have a party or even a small, performance art or concert in that sort of amphitheater area. And so our thought there is that, the day of the event or whatever, you put signage out there that says, reserved event tonight, 7 to 9 or whatever it is. So hopefully you don't run into that awkward moment of somebody coming down and setting up a whole big family picnic and then you ask them to move.
Do you
And
book
it'll
that
be-
through DPR, or how do you book that space across from like where the stables are?
Through the authority, it's not park space, actually, Angela, it's open space and it is part of this campus, and so it's reservable through us.
Okay. Thank you.
And that signage you were talking about, it'll be available in different languages?
Yes. Yeah. We do. Almost, I won't say everything, almost all of our signage.
Cool,
It's English and Spanish.
mostly? Okay.
Yeah, those two languages.
Is it
Is it
gonna be
because-
Bosnian?
We don't put
Well,
Boston.
I was just gonna say, because we have such a larger number of newcomers from around the world, and if they're interested in using this space, I know some of them have moved into our community in GES, so just wanting to be more inclusive and also have more language access information for other communities would be great to see too.
That's all of our images. Bianca sent me the previous ones, but email I can pull those up.
Oh, okay. We're all looking at your email.
Pretty tight. I tried. All right, so this is the previous iteration of the color to show you what
Okay,
it looked like
yeah.
before.
The brown looks better.
Yeah. Thank you, Bianca.
Yeah, much better.
Okay, so we will continue to talk about this space as it evolves. I just wanted to kind of recap as to where we are with the project. We are Wait for it. Let me share. So you guys have seen this graphic many times. I just wanted to kind of highlight, show you where we are. This captures a lot, the dates, the years across the top, the quarters. We're in this pre-development agreement phase right now. We're nearing the end of the pre-development agreement and we're negotiating a development agreement where we will put many of these requirements that we discussed tonight, and that also lays out construction period and operations period way into the future, the next 30+ years. We have covered several topics with this group around, we spent a lot of time on the community space, but we've also talked about jobs during construction. We've talked about community investment fund revenue. I met with the community investment fund committee, community investment fund committee on Monday, and we met a month prior to talk about all of the revenue opportunities, especially from the hotel during operations. And so I just wanted to just kind of, give us a recap of where we stand. We have several, these are kind of the proposed community benefits that we intend to require in the development agreement. And you saw on the map that we are, over the next few months, we're gonna finalize negotiation of that development agreement. So we'll check back in on this. I mentioned this before, but the baseline framework agreement requirements, of course, apply here, and this is prevailing wage, living wage during construction, the public art program, 1% art program applies. Got new feedback tonight around kind of separating out the community space art from that typical arts and venues program. So I took note of that. It's not on the slide. The small business enterprise, the minority and women-owned business enterprise requirements, where a certain percentage of the folks involved in the design and construction of this have to meet those certifications. I believe the livestock center was a 19% of all the folks working on it. 19% had to meet that minority and women-owned business enterprise. So this is of a similar size project. We would anticipate a similar percentage. The Community Investment Fund, which is that CIF roundup, this is the opportunity for folks to round up at a point of sale. They're not required to round up, but they have to be offered the chance to round up into the fund. So those are just baseline. Those will certainly apply here. We've got the 4,000 square feet of dedicated community space. We've spent a lot of time talking about that. That site layout and design to kind of create these connections. I highlighted that before, that pedestrian connectivity through the campus. So it's really intuitive. The accessible open space and the community terrace. We didn't talk a lot about that, but this is the 51st connection. There's a lot of open space there. And there's another small gathering space, and we just talked about making these things accessible and open to the public. We've got the Work Now program, and as it relates to construction jobs. For the CIF revenue piece, we've talked about a room night fee as revenue, additional revenue. So every time someone stays in the hotel, there's an additional fee that would go directly into the community investment fund. We talked with the CIF committee on Monday about this idea of another fee on top of all food and bev offerings. And this is something that I think needs more discussion. I think we have some work, our hotel operator may need to kind of show what that does to the price of food and bev. The idea is that these food and bev offerings are for the community as well. We wouldn't want to make the food bev more expensive for the community to put money in the fund. Hotel nights are different, as residents of the community are likely not staying in the hotel. And so there's more to discuss with CIF committee there and also with this group, but that was a new idea. Fundraising day for the CIF. So there are several opportunities for the hotel operator to to have on a set frequency, they need to, it's like a Gibbs Day, and they need to set up and encourage their patrons to give. And so we could set performance indicators around that and reporting and hold them accountable to hosting fundraising days. Promotion of local businesses to hotel guests. This is an idea that came up during our early outreach efforts around this. Of when you go to a hotel room and you check into the room, there's a pamphlet that highlights some of the local businesses and restaurants. And then the hotel operator Sage could get really creative here too. A QR code in the lobby, and you read about the community, and there's a showcase of a restaurant, or even setting up discounts to those restaurants to try to get folks to go to them. So that I think there's some creativity there. Free or discounted community use of hotel facilities. This would be, there are other facilities associated with the hotel, like a meeting room. If it's available and they can't book it, is there a way to create a system where the community can book it? This is outside of the community space itself. And then the hotel apprenticeships, internships, and jobs, and then training for those jobs. Again, the hotel is not going to open until 2028, so we have some time to define these programs. But these are many of the goals and the things that we're anticipating putting into the development agreement. So I just wanted to kind of round out. We've done a lot of work this year, identifying these things, and there's more discussion to come, and we will continue to have the task force into next year and continue to discuss and focus on these things. So. That's it.
Anything else? That's it. Comments or questions? Chad, see your hand raised.
Okay, are you guys about ready to wrap this up?
We still have a public comment period,
Okay.
but yes. Part of it,
I'll
please
go ahead and stand by until then, if you'll be willing to take my several questions at public comment.
Please go ahead now, Chad. Feel free.
Okay, all right. I wanted to ask about the grant that was awarded to the city and county of Denver, and the amount of what the news says was 35.6 million or so that you're going to use on the bridges at 48th Avenue and the pedestrian bridge over the RTD rail to the Reconnect Communities grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. And I can see how the pedestrian bridge will help reconnect Swansea, Elyria to Glowville if we have full access through the National Western to the 51st Avenue Bridge. I can see that. And I'm wondering how it would benefit the community of Glowville, Elyria, and Swansea with the bridge going over 48th Avenue if you don't open Betty Cram Drive. And so that's one question.
Yeah, happily. Yeah, so that grant that you mentioned, you're correct. It's around just over 35 million with the Department of Transportation, and it actually includes 4 separate projects: the pedestrian bridge that you referenced, the Betty Cram Drive Bridge, which is that 48th Avenue bridge, and the Greenway on the west side of the river that connects over to Washington Street and ultimately connect across to Argo Park. The rail crossing, and then also the DPS bus barn site just off Brighton, the remediation, cleanup of the landfill there. So all 4 of those collectively form the grant, and all of those were projects that were already planned that had funding gaps of various sorts that this federal funding allowed us to close those funding gaps and get these projects done sooner. But specifically to your question about the Betty Cram Drive, opening that bridge and connecting over to Washington will complete the Betty Cram Drive portion of the site in phases 1 and 2. We still need to connect under the rail at the Marion Underpass to the Triangle side of things. That is part of the Triangle planning effort that we will be going through in 2025, and at the top of the list for additional infrastructure connections that need to be made. but that can't be completed until we are able to take down the Hall of Education. And that's dependent on completing phases 1 and 2, the Livestock Center and the Equestrian Center, respectively. Did that answer your question, or is there a more specific thing I can answer for you?
It does, but then it leads me, that tells me that this is all done in the future. This is all, which is okay for our descendants. What I'm wondering is if you have put in any money, the National Western or the city that you know of has put in any funding available to the underpass at 950 East 46th Avenue, also known as 46th and National Western Drive. Now it's the Burlington Northern Trestle. You know, it's a dark underpass, and there hasn't been adequate lighting under there for decades. Have you put any time or money into that to literally, that is one of the literal connections from Elyria and Swansea to Globeville? And if you haven't put any money in there, will you commit to looking into and just putting some money into that underpass for lighting and infrastructure for safety of bicyclists and scooterists?
Yeah, great question. The answer is we have looked at it at a very high level and certainly identified some needs there. Ultimately, I think there's a better solution and a replacement of that whole facility, but that is dependent on working with the railroads, which is not an easy task. So what we are going to do is include that area in the Triangle community visioning and planning effort that will be starting next year. And so the recommendations from that plan can feed into future funding for those types of longer term infrastructure improvements. I think the lighting and immediate safety issues are something that we can address with Dottie immediately. And so I'm putting that on my list right now to follow up with Dottie and see what could be done, in the next couple months, knowing that a replacement of that whole thing is a much longer term effort. But I appreciate the comment and I will follow up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been dark for a long time. And like I said, it's a main thoroughfare for a lot of us. And I'll even supply the light bulbs if you put in the fixtures.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Any other questions for either of the Steves?
I would just I meant to say this earlier, I'm sorry to go back to the project. You're tired of hearing me talk, I know.
Is this about signage?
No, that's not a promise.
That passed unanimously. You're done with it.
Yeah, someone's done. So a little bit about, we're having some challenges on the funding source for this project. So the financing source for this project. I just wanted to highlight that as something that we're working through. I put up the schedule and that is certainly our goal to hit. We are seeking a loan from the federal government. That would be, they're going to be our bank on this project. Part of their requirements are to meet a Buy America, a BUY America, so to buy American products. And we were just talking about light bulbs. LED lights are actually made in the United States. And so there are some challenges to meet those federal requirements, and we are trying to get creative in how we waive those requirements or find an exemption to those requirements. Because it is a very good funding source, it is it's a good interest rate on the mortgage, if you will. It's much more competitive than going to a private bank for those dollars. And so I just wanted to highlight that as a challenge. It's something that we've been focusing on a lot with the project, and more to come on that, but it could be impactful to our project.
AE, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's excellent. Steve, can what agency or department of the federal government is that potential loan source from? Or do you know
Yes.
under what
Yeah, it's the
allocation
federal-
bill it is?
Federal Transit Agency, so FTA. T is in transit, and it's through the Build America Bureau. And so it would be the FTA Buy America requirements.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and we're seeking a RRIF TOD loan. That's
Okay.
the Railroad Rehabilitation Infrastructure Fund. That's not right, but it's something like that. RRIF. And then transit oriented.
Okay, and then, thank you, Steve. Can you still hear me, Catherine?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just a couple quick pieces of information I just wanted to check on. And I think Steve Nally, this might come back to you. Is the mural that is being considered inside the community space, the 1% art in public places budget, or is that different?
Yeah, we were just talking about that, and we got a recommendation that that mural should be pulled out of the arts and venues 1%, and we lead a very local process to find a local artist or artists to paint that mural inside of the space.
Okay, I did hear that discussion. It was breaking in and out, but just to add to that, it is my understanding from previous installations at the National Western Center and around Denver that there is a public process with art in public places, which does have mandates for bringing in residents and locals, and that it is true no requirement that local artists be used, which I certainly would support there being a mechanism for. But there were numerous members of the Globeville and Elyria, I'm not certain about Swansea, that were participating in the panels in some of the installations that came in onto the campus. So I want to make sure the mechanism is really thoroughly activated, because there are some mechanisms, whatever maximizes the funding is really what it comes down to in that discussion. But I certainly would, endorse the local. And then just quickly, I just wanted to check one piece of information on the December 22nd toy run that Blood Brothers is sponsoring over at Sherman and 45th. Is Sandra still there? I want to make sure that. Hi, Sandra. Did you appreciate that you mentioned that? Did you indicate that that was the last Blood Brothers toy run, or was that a misunderstanding?
I think there was a misunderstanding.
Okay, very good. In the event that the tape is clear for anyone else, thank you, Sandra. I did direct message Boogie Mondragon. I'm embedded behind the scenes on that with some resource development and stuff. People are certainly welcome to come. Thank you for mentioning it, Sandra. It's important that the tape is clear. That is all. Blood Brothers is one of the original organizations.
We just lost UAE.
The December 22nd from Sandra just spaced it out over at Grant and Sherman. Just wanted to make sure that was
keep
clear.
cutting in and out. We lost you at Blood Brothers was one of the original organizations.
Yes.
And then you cut out after that.
Oh, Blood Brothers, yes. Blood Brothers is one of the original organizations that, the longstanding organizations that worked with real comprehensive full terrain neighborhood engagement, and it's persisted and evolved into a variety of things. It's not important to go into the full history here. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that it was an ongoing event. we're taking too much time, and it's, on something that I just wanted to make sure that the tape, when the announcement was made, or the audio was a little scratchy. So I'm just double checking it. That's all.
Thank you, AE.
Thank you, AE. And Alejandra has a question. So does this qualify as transit-oriented development for the FDA grant without housing?
Yes, it does.
Any further, you want to go any further with that, Alejandra? Okay, anything else? We're certainly open for.
Hi,
Oh, go ahead,
sorry,
Alejandra.
yeah, thank you. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, transit-oriented development, by definition is all about developing near transit, in a way that increases ridership, on the rail line and at that station. And so, we will have a number of employees, activities, entertainment, people taking the train and being able to come to the arenas. Also, the hotel component is oriented to the transit station. And so it does fit the FTA definition for transit-oriented development, and it's all about increasing ridership.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any public comments?
Oh, crap.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn for the evening?
Yeah, this is Chad. Can I speak?
Please, Chad, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, in the interim, our understanding is that the Dottie and their Denver Moves bicycles will be opening an outreach in January, is what's been stated, to discuss different multimodal transportation for bicycles, scooters, pedestrians in the Swansea, Elyria, and Glowville neighborhood. It was recently called the North Central Transportation Network. They've changed the name to Safe Slow Streets or something like that. But we have suggestions for that would build out bicycle lanes around the National Western on Race Street to Race Court to connect to the South Platte River Trail. Additionally, along 47th Avenue, south on Baldwin Court to 46th Avenue, and west on 46th Avenue to the Platte River Trail at 46th and the Platte River. And I'm just wondering if the National Western Center would support us on that, so that we can get to the river safely via bike or scooter, or even people that use mobility devices.
Mike, I'll turn that one over to you. I think the answer is absolutely we need to coordinate with that effort.
Yes.
Mike, any thoughts?
No, absolutely. And that specifically in the triangle side of the tracks, that kind of connectivity and planning is an integral part of the planning effort that'll start next year. So yes, I think we fully support that and would definitely add our support to those conversations with Dottie when the time is right.
Okay, we'd appreciate that. And one more question about the community space along the river. You said that's property of, or the actual riverbank parks and amenities there. That's National Western. But that still continues to be property, public property. Yes. So it's open to the public. It's open to the public as opposed to Parks and Rec.
It is city-owned land that is part of the authority's lease, and we intend it to be open space, available for community use, similar to a park, but it is not a park operated by Denver Parks and Rec.
Understood. And then just one more thing with the excellent community center or community space there and the greenhouse and all. That's not intended at all to diminish the community desired space in the triangle, is it?
No. It is not.
Thank you kindly. Good night all.
Thank you, Chad. Anne, I see your hand raised.
Oh, I just wanted to say happy holidays to everybody.
Oh, yay.
Now,
Happy holidays.
all right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here this evening, and to all of you, we wish you very, very happy holidays. And we've completed a year. 2024 is closing. We'll see you in the new year in 2025, and look forward to seeing you then.
Hold on
Oh.
one second.
Somebody wants to, right?
Ann Hayes,
Yes?
so, I just want to double check on something. I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask this question in front of like 30 people.
But not really.
So rumor has it you might be retiring.
I am retiring.
Um,
It is it's not a rumor, it is true. At the end of the year, I'm retiring. So what I was planning on doing was, the person who's taking my place is interested in joining this committee as well. And so I was going to bring her to the January meeting and introduce you to you all, and, you know, so she can put her application in or whatever she has to do to start attending the meetings. So I'll see you one more time. But yes.
well, there are others on this in the room and on the call who have been involved in CAC for longer than I have. Ann is one of the ones from the beginning, so I'm so happy for you, but sorry to hear that for us. You've been incredible.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your comments and that acknowledgement. I have been around for a long time.
You're our institutional memory, Anne.
Yes. No, and I wish you all well, but I will be at one more meeting. As I said, the person who I'm gonna bring to the meeting, Allie Ferdine, she's been with Westfield for 7 years. She was the general manager out at Stanley Marketplace, so she's taking my place. So, and she went to CSU, and so she's kind of excited to get involved with the whole project and get involved in any way that she can be helpful. So you'll all meet her soon.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Once again, everybody, I hope you have a safe and happy holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.